Welcome to this presentation on sleep disorders. On the next slide, you will see links to video clips to illustrate each of these disorders that I'll be talking about. I strongly encourage you to take a look at these because they will make the whole thing much more memorable and entertaining than just listening to me talk about it. There are also links to these videos on the web page for this module. Let's start with insomnia. Insomnia is the most common sleep disorder, and it's something that all of us experience at some time or other. And it's just a simple matter of not being able to get to sleep when you know you need to be able to get to sleep. Usually, insomnia is not the result of some major physical problem, but you've gotten into some bad habits that are probably getting you into trouble. Maybe you started exercising too late in the day, too close to the time you want to go to bed, or maybe you drink caffeine too late at night when you shouldn't be. And all of these things increase your arousal levels and make it harder for you to relax and go to sleep. Or maybe you go to bed and this has become the time where you rehearse all the troubling things that are going on in your life. And you start worrying about stuff and thinking about the stressful things that are going to happen the next day. And then you start getting upset because you can't get to sleep, and this makes your arousal levels get even higher. So in all of these cases, you're doing something without being aware of how it's making it hard for you to get to sleep. So insomnia is usually a very solvable problem when you can identify what the thing is that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. The other disorders that are on this list are much more serious and much less under your control. Let's start with narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is the overwhelming urge to sleep at unexpected times. And it can begin to develop in a sort of innocent way where you have this attack of extreme sleepiness in the middle of the day. But in its most extreme form, a person can instantly lapse into REM sleep. Just boom. They go from being completely awake to completely collapsed, no muscle tone, completely out. These intense attacks of narcolepsy are often triggered by strong emotions. So if a person suddenly becomes frightened or excited, or it often can be triggered by something like having sex, and talk about, needless to say, that's a real showstopper. And humans aren't the only ones that have narcolepsy. On the video clips for this segment, you'll see some clips of narcoleptic dogs who have the same problem. When they get excited, they lapse into these narcoleptic attacks. Narcolepsy can become very debilitating. I had a friend who was a professor at another college, and she developed narcolepsy fairly early in her career, and she had a cot in her office where she would get herself to and throw herself down and take a nap in the middle of the day when she felt this coming on. But the disorder progressed to the point where she had to retire very young. She could no longer perform her job. She was unable to drive anywhere because she never knew if she was going to have one of these narcolepsy attacks. And so a person in the severe stages of narcolepsy is completely debilitated. Cataplexy is a similar disorder. It's kind of a first cousin to narcolepsy. The difference is the person doesn't lapse into REM sleep, but the person completely loses muscle tone, they collapse, and they're paralyzed like they would be in REM sleep. But they're fully conscious. Their eyes are open, and they're aware of everything that's going on around them. They simply cannot move or respond in any way. And this can cause unfortunate reactions from other people. There's a very interesting clip of a guy who suffers from cataplexy. Watch that, and he'll describe in very vivid detail the things that happen to him when he has one of these seizures. Like narcolepsy, attacks of cataplexy can often be brought on by sudden, strong emotions. In sleep apnea, the person is unable to sleep and breathe at the same time, so they wake up gasping for breath hundreds of times per night. This is also a very serious but also very common problem. And there are machines that you may have a relative or someone you know who has one of these sleep apnea machines. They put a mask on their face when they go to bed and it gives them oxygen. Sleep apnea is more likely to occur in people who are somewhat older. It also is associated with being overweight or obese. So if you're a snorer, that's one of the things that can be a predictor of sleep apnea. Not everybody who snores develops sleep apnea, and some people with sleep apnea probably do not snore, but there are things that tend to go together. So sleep apnea is a very common sleep disorder. I put night terrors and sleepwalking on the list. Whether we would actually call these disorders or not, I don't know. But certainly if they have progressed to the point where they're disrupting a person's life or causing trouble for the people that they live with, I think they have moved into the category of a disorder. Periodic limb movement disorder, sometimes known as restless leg syndrome, is another symptom or another syndrome that's fairly common. The person experiences a feeling in their legs that can range from a tingling or a burning or a feeling like somebody's tugging on your legs to full-blown kicking where the person literally throws themselves out of the bed because they're kicking so violently. A person with this syndrome can have these symptoms without even being asleep. If they were to just lay down quietly, relaxing, they might experience the same sort of limb problems as the person does when they're asleep. And here are the links to the video clips that I told you about. You can click right on the link on this slide and see the video that I've described. But as I said, you can also go to the module's webpage and you will see links to these very same video clips there.